Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Film School Rejects. I'm your co-host Billy Howells, and joining me is,
Skye Williamson. Hi.
and today we are discussing The Hunger Games.
Yes, the latest book is out, which is it's a prequel for Haymitch's games, which is very exciting. But we're not doing that today. We are discussing the very first Hunger Games, as well as the other prequel, which is The Snow and what's her name?
Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It's a very
That's
long
the one.
title.
It's a very long title. It's I think did you say it was your favorite of the Hunger Games films?
Second favorite.
Second favorite. Okay. It's not in my top three at all. But everyone's allowed to have an opinion. Um, so how many times have you watched The Hunger Games?
I watched it. I think I've seen it in full twice. I watched it the first time about 10 years ago because I remember I was watching all the movies leading up to Mockingjay Part Two for the first time, and that came out 10 years ago this year. Which is insane to think about, by the way. But yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I saw the Hunger. Actually, no, I know I've seen it in full twice. Once back then, and I rewatched it the other day. But I think there was a time about 6, 7 years ago, maybe 8, where I watched it in school, and it's funny because my opinion of the film has shifted each time I've watched it. The first time I saw it, I loved it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And then, kind of, when I saw some of it at school, I don't remember how much of it I saw, but it was enough for me to go, "Oh, this is not as good as I remember it being." It really went down in my ranks, and
I'm offended by that.
that's kind of been my opinion of it since. Until the other day when I rewatched it, and this is a really good film. I
Phenomenal film.
there is one element of it that doesn't quite work for me, but apart from that, I think the setup is amazing. I love how grounded and raw this entire film feels. It doesn't really feel overly Hollywoodized. Like it, like obviously you do have the scope and kind of the grandeur of it all, but again, it all feels so grounded, and it just feels really realistic, and that just immerses you in this world so much more easily.
Well, I have seen it every year. I watch it. I watch it like religiously when I'm studying. I don't know why. It's like such a comfort film. It is quite different from the books. Obviously, that's more to do with timing. Like you can't have every single conversation she had with Rue and Peter. Like that's fine. Do I think you're definitely more Team Peter if you've read the books? Yeah, 100%. Um, I do have a question. Do you think the love triangle added or took away from the film?
My main issue with the film is that I don't buy the romance between Katniss and Peter. That is my main issue with the film.
No, I can't buy it that she was ever interested in Gale. I
Really?
don't think no, I can't see it. Like she likes him as like a friend, right? When you don't know what romantic love is yet, you're like, yeah, sure, maybe like I feel that way about him. And then she meets Peter, and like they have this bond, and he's like the only person that is like protective of her that she's never had before. Like when he gives her the bread, right? And it's like this big moment. It's like the first time she's had like a selfless act given to her that's not expected anything from
Mm.
her. Like he takes care of her the way her mother never did once her father died. And like the little things that Peter does can't be taken away by the capital or by the districts into rebellion.
For me, I'm it's either one or two things as to why I don't buy the romance. It's either
Okay.
the writing of it feels forced, or I think probably the more likely option is that I just don't think. I mean, they're both great individually in the movie, especially Jennifer Lawrence. But I just think romantically, I don't think I quite buy the chemistry between Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson.
No, I think it's just like a simple love. Like it's just there.
I
And I
get
can just
that.
feel it. I think
I,
if you
I
read the
don't
book,
feel it. That's
I think it's a very like bookish love, right?
mm,
It's not like these big grand things, right?
it's,
It's just like she wants him to be with her when she's like having nightmares. Like that's a very simple love that they can offer.
was it a relationship that was a lot more? There was a lot more to it in the book. Like
Yeah,
there,
I
they
think
did
yeah.
more with it in the book.
I think in the book you can definitely, if you rewatch the film with like it in mind, in the book she's thinking like he's just like crying to manipulate me. He's just saying he likes me to manipulate them and win against me. Like she thinks that he doesn't love her at all,
Mhm.
and he's just doing this for the capital gain.
Yeah,
So like she's really confused, and she's like, which you can see if you rewatch the film, like you can see in like the small moments that she's like, does he like me?
uh-huh.
No.
Yeah.
Like she's still an insecure teenager. And I think like his simple acts of like kindness or whatever is definitely like it's bonded. I think it's better.
By the way, I just need to clarify: I've not read the book. Skye is the one that has read the book, so
Yes, I have read the books. I think also I find it sometimes difficult. When I rewatch it sometimes I'm like, if I hadn't read the books, I don't know how attached I would be to Rue.
I get that.
And I could probably see that as maybe a slight downfall of the book. Like I don't know. What did you feel about Ruin
You see,
in the
I
film?
actually, obviously, it's a completely different kind of relationship, but kind of the relationship between Katniss and Rue, I felt that a lot more emotionally.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
like when. By the way, spoilers. This movie's been out for what, 13 years? I think we can
Don't
spoil it
don't
now.
don't say that. Don't say that like that. I know it
Yeah,
came out when I was in primary school, but don't say that. Don't
yeah.
say that.
I think we're allowed to spoil it now. But
We are.
yeah. Kind of when Rue dies, that hits in the heart. Whereas I didn't quite feel that emotional connection between Katniss and Peter.
Yeah, I do want to talk about Rue's death, but I want to backtrack it to the very start of the film, which is obviously when they're in like the little interview bit, and he's like, blah blah blah, like the games make us, and then he goes like, what defines a personal signature? Smash cut to Prim screaming her head off because she's like had a nightmare, and then Katniss sings, like she puts her down to sleep and she sings the same song as she does when like she's mourning Rue, and it's a reminder like between the both of them how close to death Prim really was. Like she is Rue, right? Rue is a little bit smarter than Prim is at that age. She's more self-aware. So
Yeah.
like Prim, I don't think she would have survived as long as Rue. But it's also like the death of children is obviously his signature. Like these are innocent children. Like Katniss is still like 16. Like she probably shouldn't be in there either.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's also where like the rebellion started when she like properly like gives this almost funeral to Rule and she memorializes her,
Mhm.
because obviously the children normally get taken away and it's done and dusted. We move on to the next
Yeah.
scene in the Hunger Games. But because she's a main character, she's allowed to give this like room for air of where she can mourn her. And this is when like I think some of the obviously the districts know that's wrong. I think some people in the capital would have been like, oh, like she's like an actual child and she's died. Like we can
Yeah.
see the funeral, and obviously that's when like the whole District 11 fights back. I think we have to like admit Katniss is very lucky, right? These are all things that happened that she wouldn't have survived if it wasn't luck, right? If
Yeah.
she hadn't had Haymitch, right?
Yeah.
If the game maker was smarter than he is, right? Because he's not.
Yeah.
I think that was obvious by the fact that it was a forest, which is the most boring of the arenas that we've heard of. Obviously, that plays into Katniss's favor because she hunts in forests anyway. Effie, what do you think of Effie?
She's an interesting character.
Yes.
Elizabeth Banks definitely had an interesting take on her. Is what was done with the character in the film pretty similar to the book, or did they kind of really reinterpret the character?
I'll probably go into it more when we discuss Mockingjay.
Uh-huh.
In Mockingjay, she's not there.
Oh, okay.
She's like a prisoner in District 13, so none of her lines are her lines.
Oh, wow.
But I was going to start with Effie's first outfit. And I think Effie's outfits are so important in every single film. Her first outfit is this massively bold purple pink, which obviously we know like purple is royalty because it's like the most expensive dye. And especially like against like the completely grey background of stone and cobblestone, and
Yeah.
then you look at the sea of District 12, which is all grey or it's like slightly bluish grey. Her skin kind of looks like gothic and almost like robotic in kind of a sense, like
Uh-huh.
she's not like a real in, and then she grows so much throughout the franchise.
One thing I do want to bring up is this has kind of been a big point of contention ever since the movie came out, is the film's use of shaky cam. I'm kind of curious as to your stance on that, because when I uh, kind of when I rewatched it, a bit of it in school, I remember that was the main thing that stood out to me. That, oh my god, there is so much shaky cam in this movie. But when I rewatched it the other day, I was like, okay, yes, there's a lot of shaky cam, but it's one of the very few instances where I found shaky cam to actually be effective. Because in a lot of movies, it just feels like it's kind of there to cover up the budget they don't have, or um, the director doesn't know how to craft an action sequence. But here it feels intentional, and it's shaky, but it's not too shaky where you can't tell what's going on.
I think there's like a very difference in like direction when it comes to the capital and the district,
Yes.
and then there's this middle ground which is District 1 and 2,
Yeah.
and it's like, ooh, I'm not sure how to feel about that. Whereas like in the capital, all the shots of snow and everything, it's very like properable. Like it's very like propaganda. He is
Yeah.
a prop himself and everything else is, and they're very like they're always very like frame, right? Whereas all the district ones, they're kind of more eerie and they are definitely shaky,
Uh huh.
which I think definitely adds to the whole vibe of the film,
Hmm.
which is like obviously these are children that are trying to survive,
Yeah.
and then you have like the complete smash cut difference
Hmm.
between the two. I think it definitely changes throughout the film.
Hmm.
When do we go to the second one? I think in the second one it's much more.
Yeah, kind of. I think because this one was directed by Gary Ross, all of the other films were directed by Francis Lawrence. That I think Francis Lawrence kind of directed them a lot more cleaner, whereas
Yeah.
Gary Ross clearly was going for the more visceral, more grounded approach.
I definitely prefer the ground approach, but I think there's also something to be said that it then becomes steadier over
Yeah,
time. How did you feel watching the very like start part?
I honestly think kind of. I mean, I do, apart from the Peter Katniss stuff, I would say I generally love the whole movie, but I do really think throughout that opening, it might be my favorite part of the movie. That first 20-ish minutes where it kind of sets it all up. There's the choosing of the names, kind of just how that. I could be wrong about this. My memory could be failing me, but it doesn't feel like there's a lot of musical score in this movie, especially in that section of the film. Like, it feels very reliant on like sound effects, the cinematography. It just feels so raw and grounded. It just pulls you in so well.
I think obviously that part is not a reality show. I think
Yeah,
that's definitely the difference. I think training feels really weird.
yeah.
I kind of don't like the training part. I think it's essential for the storyline, but that's like my least favorite part of the whole thing. Okay, my favorite scene, the apple, when she shoots the apple. I want to know your thoughts.
Is this, if I'm remembering correctly, is this the scene where kind of she's almost trying to show off to everyone? Um, because
Yeah.
like that, because kind of before this scene, they're all like, "Who the hell is this? We don't care.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
just
she has to
another."
rate. She gets
Yeah,
rated for the performance.
yeah. Yeah. I thought it was really powerful. I thought it was. I mean, it's quite a small scene, but it's just very effectively done. I do remember when I was watching that scene, I was just constantly kind of looking for their reactions, and I I was always. I don't remember what his name is, but it's that guy with the black hair, the really precisely done beard.
Press the um crane,
Yes, him.
like crane.
I was always looking specifically for his reaction as well. And he's a really interesting character to me, actually, because I was never sure what kind of person he was, and I really liked that.
He wasn't the best game maker. I think he was
Mm.
definitely for show more than anything else.
Yeah,
But I love that scene because one, we have the capital, right? These are like the head gamers, so these are quite rich people. And then whilst like the tributes are like trying to tell them like, please like help me get sponsors. This is really important to me. They bring out this massive pig, right?
Uh-huh.
And obviously this pig is like a symbol of like capital greed and
Yeah.
excess, and it's a spectacle, right? Which is
Uh-huh.
exactly what the whole Hunger Games is.
Yeah.
They build these massive arenas that must cost them a fortune just to
Mhm.
put on a show every year. Like
Yeah.
that's it. And to like punish the districts. And then it's like um with the bow as well, like obviously her weaponry is like precision as power.
Uh-huh.
Like she shoots the apple, and it shows also her restraint. Like she could have killed one of them, right?
Yeah.
If she was really bad at shot, but she didn't. And then we have the whole apple thing, right? And obviously apples are like a massive symbolism in literature as well as they are in film, because we have the Garden of Eden and knowledge, but it's also like a loss of innocence,
Uh-huh.
because while she's watching them, she does this. There's this like the panel like shot, and she like tilts her head slightly, and she's like realizing these are like these people are in charge of her life, and they do not care. They don't care one bit. And it's I think it's the moment that she comes from a kid to like an adult, and she shouldn't
Yeah.
be an adult, but it's like her loss of innocence. And when she shoots the apple, it's like it metaphorically she bites the apple, and so does the capital, and they remember that she's human and so are they.
Uh-huh.
Like it's like an equalizer moment, which never happens again. What do you think about the overall game part and the whole cinematography of that? Do you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I will say this time I rewatched it, the whole game part took up more of the film than I remember.
Oh, it's a
Like,
massive chunk.
yeah, I thought it would just be the third act, to be honest, but no, it's like the entire second half of the film, maybe even more than that. But I think everything in it is very effective. And okay, going back to Rue, actually, did you ever get the sense she was going to die? Because I kind of knew the first time, like she was in the game, so I was just like, oh, she's dead. Like, or was that kind of a surprise to you?
I think she was always going to, right? Because she's like 12,
Yeah,
right? She's like the youngest. And I think she kind of accepted that, and she kind of
yeah,
knew. She was like, I think, obviously Fresh isn't there, which is the other person, the male tribute from District 11. I do definitely think he kept an eye on her
uh-huh,
throughout the entire games. It's definitely like it's not canon, but people discuss that the reason why he doesn't show up as much in the games, and it's in the books, right? Not this part, the next part, but it's discussed that maybe he was doing some more rebellious acts.
uh-huh,
Katniss is not trying to rebel. She does rebellious acts, but it's not
yeah.
intent. Like his is intentious, right? I think it's also because he's from District 11, which is much more trying to rebel. Are there any
Maybe,
parts of the film that you think would have been cut for the reality show?
I mean, ooh, that's a good question. Maybe that whole sequence where they've all got to run to that the whole shelter thing and grab something. Maybe that, because it is like properly. I would say maybe that's the most gruesome sequence in the film. Um, so maybe that, and yeah, I definitely don't think they would have shown Rue's funeral. But
But
I
they did
mean,
though. They showed that they showed it.
yeah, that's the thing. I wouldn't have expected them to,
Yeah. I
but
think if Katniss wasn't this like leading character, they definitely wouldn't.
yeah, and I also yeah, there would have been. I mean, not that they'd give a shit, but there would have been backlash if they didn't. Maybe.
Yeah, I think while you think that bit when she's trying to get the medicine is the worst bit, I
Yeah,
think the actual worst part is when she like obviously she blows up their stuff,
yeah,
because it's not gruesome, but
yeah,
Kato just snaps the neck
yeah.
like
I
it's
know. Yeah,
think, and I think that's like that's the worst part for me. I'm like, he
there's no
has to,
remorse.
yeah, there's
Yeah,
nothing, and it's only when he's on the other side of it and he's like, it was always gonna be you. Like I
yeah, yeah,
like I should have. And I was thinking, he's having a breakdown.
yeah,
Like realize he doesn't mean anything to the capital, and
yeah.
he thought he did.
That's his whole life. He's just realised his whole life's purpose has been gone in an instant.
Life, right? He's probably been told that he will be this victor. He's probably thinking, I could take care of my entire family now.
Yeah.
And I think that's sad. What is your opinion on how the Hunger Games ends? Like
For the film
the
or the
game,
actual game?
not the film, the games.
I mean, I think there is an argument to be made that it feels quite convenient. I do definitely think that.
I think lucky more than convenient.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, they've just changed. Like there's this really like tense moment of, oh my god, who's gonna go? And it's just, oh, you both win. Like there is an argument to be made that okay, that feels a bit convenient. But at the same time, I do think it is effective. It needed to happen because there are 3 more movies, so they needed to find a way to kind of keep them. So I guess it's kind of a double-edged sword. It could be an issue, but I'm not overly fussed by it.
Yeah, I think obviously they have to have a victor, right?
Yes.
And Peter would have definitely sacrificed himself for Katniss. That's not.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But
Definitely.
like Katniss isn't a murderer. Like she has, right? But she's
Yeah.
not. It's not in her. Like she did it once, right? Which was when Rue died, and that was to defend herself
Yeah.
and Rue. Like she also she didn't realize Rue was dying yet, and she just did it right to protect herself. And then the second was Kato to protect Peela, right? And then she did it because then he fell into the mess, and it was like mercy to shoot him rather than let him be eaten.
Yeah.
So she's like, she doesn't want to do that. Like she loves, like Peela's a person, and I think it was very clever. It was definitely like a mockery of the capital. It worked, but not for very long. I think everyone knew it wouldn't be for very long. Like Snow does, like her family was gonna. If it wasn't Prim, if she hadn't volunteered, right, and it was just like Katniss went in because her name got called, her family would have been murdered.
Yeah.
But because her family's already involved in the whole capital situation, because Prim was reaped and not Katniss, Snow couldn't really touch Prim because of that reason. He could have touched Gale. I wouldn't have complained. But I think the closing shot, right, where she comes back home and she's on the very stage that she volunteered, and she sees her Prim and everyone, and she's just like happy, and she's like, yeah, this is good.
That's not the closing
like
shot, though. Isn't the closing shot? I don't remember who it was specifically. I think it was the game maker.
I meant
that's like.
Katniss's.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The game maker, that was satisfying.
That's an interesting closing shot. I thought. I didn't expect to end on that.
The capital shows no mercy, even to its own people. What do you think about pacing? I think the film is definitely slow.
It's slow, but it's intentionally slow. I think. It's not trying to be fast-paced.
Yeah, because they are in the arena for days. The training thing is like 4 days.
Yeah,
you've got to
get that sense. You've got to get that sense that kind of you're there with them in that way.
Songbirds. What do you want to say about it?
I mean, I think this film's quite underrated. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I can understand the argument of they should have done what they did with Mockingjay and split it into 2. But at the same time, they got a lot of shit for splitting Mockingjay into 2, and I can completely understand the filmmakers going, no, okay, we're just going to do one big, long, epic thing. And I really appreciated that. Yes, okay, it does feel, it's a lot. But it tells its story very well. I really, for me, this is the Hunger Games movies where I think I appreciate the themes the most. I just think it does a really good job of really questioning what is the Hunger Games, what is the point of the Hunger Games. And I think it just explores that in a really fascinating way. And also I'm kind of biased because I'm a very big Rachel Zegler fan. And she's amazing in this movie.
Oh, she is amazing. Like there are some parts of the movie that I don't like, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the part I don't like the most is the world, which is ironic, right? Because we're in the Hunger Games world, but aesthetically, the way it looks,
Mm.
it's not as run down as I would want it to be. Like,
Mm.
everything's a bit too bright.
Maybe that's the point, though, that kind of the later films look more run down. So
Yeah, there is something to be said that things definitely change because,
yeah,
like, even in Hamish's book, it's like he had like good food that Katniss
yeah,
would never have had because
yeah,
in those few years it went down.
yeah.
But I don't know. I think it takes me out a little bit.
I think the soundtrack of this movie is really good as well. It's not a musical, but like it's got a lot of songs in it, and there are a lot of sequences of musical performance. And those surprisingly, you'd think a Hunger Games musical, so to speak, would feel out of place, but it doesn't. I think because they really well establish that Lucy Baird is her big passion is songwriting and wanting to be a songwriter or artist. I don't quite remember. It's one of those two. But yeah, because of that, the whole musical element of it really works well. And it's also a nice kind of, whenever the songs do occur, it's a nice, almost, I guess, break from all the brutal stuff going on.
I think the use of song is quite interesting, right? Because there's obviously much more in this film.
Yeah.
But Katniss does also sing a lot, and when she does sing, it then gets used as promo for the
Yeah.
rebellion. It becomes the districts use it when they rebel as well. So I think it definitely comes from like District 12 becomes this like whole song state
Yeah.
in kind of way. Like I remember the song I remember the most, right, is when she's like the snakes are all over her.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
like I think I saw like someone saying like it was to calm the snakes down.
Yes.
I don't think it was. I think she was like I think she was accepting that she was going to die in that moment.
Mm,
And she was singing her own funeral song because she's panicking. And she's like, if this is how I'm going to end,
yeah.
I want it to haunt the Capitol and everyone else, and I'm going to go out singing, and this will be it. And it
Yeah.
just happened to work in her favor.
Yeah. I've never heard that theory, but now you've got me thinking about it. Now I don't know what that might mean.
Because like District 12 is known for like having a funeral song, right? Which is obviously
Yeah.
why Katniss does it, and everyone else does it in District 12.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is in that moment. Is she
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna die here? Other than snakes, I think my favorite bit is when she's singing to Snow, like after the
Yeah.
games, and I'm like, ooh. Do you think he loved her? I don't think he did.
Think he did.
You think he did?
Yeah. And to me that kind of makes the whole thing more haunting. Like once you get to the end of the film and you kind of think back on it all, it really is. I would maybe say it is the most haunting of the Hunger Games movies. Because I feel like you can then watch the other Hunger Games movies and you can build a character of Lucy throughout them and throughout Snow scenes.
I definitely think with Katniss, it haunts Snow quite a lot,
Yes.
especially whenever she's singing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe she reminds him of Lucy.
Yeah, and I think definitely the relationship between Peeta and Katniss because he's like, you don't love Peeta, you don't love Peeta.
Yeah.
She does, right? And I think it must be in his head whether Lucy did love him back or not. And I think that's what he's done with Katniss is he's like, well, clearly it was just to win, like
Yeah.
Lucy was. But it works out for him because now he gets to use Peeta because she does love
Yeah.
him. That is such an interesting character because throughout the like whole novels and the film, he's like, I won't lie to you.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of makes him more powerful that he refuses to lie to Katniss. He doesn't have
Yeah.
to. He's scary enough, even with the truth that he tells her. I'm like, he's haunting.
Yeah.
I think he's a great villain.
I think Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes really, because when they first announced Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I was like, really, a President Snow prequel? But actually, I really think it really solidifies its place in the Hunger Games universe, and just feels like a really interesting addition. I'm glad they did it, and I'm really interested to see what they do with the Haymitch film.
Yes. Yes. Do you want to talk about casting? How do you feel?
I mean, it's interesting because they've got two no-name actors here, which I thought they would have gone for bigger names. But
I like that though.
I like that they've kind of haven't gone for big names. I think it really gives, whoever are the two people playing these roles, it really just gives them a chance to shine. And this is such a great opportunity. Some of the best things in the Hunger Games movies are the performances. So it really gives them an opportunity to kind of flex their muscles. Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see what they do with it. Well, yeah, anyway, leave your thoughts of the past Hunger Games below, and also Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok. I've been Billy Howells.
I mean, Skye Wilson.
Thank you for listening/watching. Bye.